Tonight, federal government approves National Development Plan 2021 to 2025, just as Senate okays President Buhari's external borrowing plan. INEC declares former CBN Governor Professor Chukuma Soludo winner of Anambra governorship election. Abuja High Court adjourns trial of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu to January next year as his lawyers complain about access to the courtroom. And China and the United States pledge to work together on climate action, recognizing the urgency of the crisis. Plus international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, Naira firms significantly against the dollar at the investors and exporters window of the forex market as central bank pushes more dollars to meet demand.
On sports news tonight, coach Eddie Howe believes Newcastle United can survive the drop, but makes no
plan to run from 2025 to 2021 to 2025 with an investment size of 348.7 trillion naira is about to be rolled out. This follows its approval by the Federal Executive Council at a virtual meeting chaired by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, today. Briefing journalists on the matter after the meeting, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said the federal government will broaden the tax base and expand the capacity of the private sector through creating investment opportunities as part of a funding strategy for the plan. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Umezuki, reports.
Six ministers are physically present as the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, chairs the virtual Federal Executive Council meeting. Among critical approvals at this meeting is the 2021 to 2025 National Development Plan, which is a successor program to the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning informs State House correspondents that the annual national budget will be derived from the plan, structured on 6 concepts.
These clusters include economic growth and development, infrastructure, public administration, human capital development, social development, and regional development. And also, the plan has been costed to have an investment size of 348.7 trillion over the 5-year period. This investment size is to be contributed by the public sector at 49.7 trillion, representing 14.3%, and the private sector at 298.3 trillion, representing 85.7%. The National Development Plan 2021 to 2022 has been approved today by the Federal Executive Council for implementation as a successor plan to the elapsed Economic Recovery and Growth Plan 2017 to 2020.
For decades, Nigeria has developed various national development plans, some of which has come under criticism. But the Minister of State for Budget and National Planning insists the issue of lack of inclusivity has been eliminated.
We had to make sure it's national enough, that is to say, it should be prepared by the federal government, the state governments, the local government, and more importantly, the organized private sector.
The Council equally approves 2.35 billion naira to the Ministry of Health for cancer equipment in 2 universities. The federal government had in February approved 12 hospitals for the treatment of cancer, a disease that reportedly claims the lives of about 40,000 persons annually. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
Staying in the nation's capital, the Senate has approved the president's loan request for $16.2 billion, 1 billion euros, and a grant component of $125 million under the 2018 to 2020 external borrowing plan. The upper chamber also approved the request to the Bank of Industries for issuance of 500 million euros, but no more than 750 million euro bond in the international capital market. Linda Kigbe has more.
That the Senate do approve the underlisted ongoing negotiation of external borrowing in the sum of 16,230,77,718 US dollars and 1,028 million euro.
The chairman of the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt recommending that the Senate approve President Buhari's latest loan request. This loan request is expected to finance projects in the power sector, digital economy, industrial sector, education, transportation, as well as health, women affairs, and the environment.
The committee knows that there are no...
In his presentation, Senator Odia notes the concerns of Nigerians on the level of indebtedness and sustainability of the country's borrowing activities within the last decade. Federal lawmakers admit that they are not aware of the terms and conditions of the loans.
We have not given approval, sir, to the terms and conditions. We have not seen that. We don't know what that is yet.
The Senate adds a proviso to the approval given that the terms and conditions of a loan from the funding agencies be forwarded to it for proper scrutiny and documentation. Meanwhile, the Senate has passed through second reading a bill to amend the Niger Delta Development Commission Act 2000 to include states which have attained the status of oil-producing states. But some lawmakers do not support the amendment of the NDDC Act.
Following the discovery of oil in Bauchi, Lagos, Ogun, these states have officially joined the League of Oil-Producing States in Nigeria. These states are entitled to the 13% derivation that is due to oil-producing states according to the provision of the Nigerian Constitution.
The issue is whether or not, the issue is whether or not, just because they're oil-producing, they should come under the Niger Delta Development Commission. Mr. President, if you are ever looking for a meddlesome interloper, you don't have to go too far to find one. What this bill, this lead debate clearly shows that my colleague from Lagos here is a classic meddlesome interloper.
The bill scales second reading and will now be sent to the relevant committees for further legislative work. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
Politics now. Former CBN Governor Professor Chukuma Soludo has been declared winner of the Anambra governorship election after the supplementary election in Ihiala local government area. The All Progressives Grand Alliance candidate won with 112,229 votes, beating Valentine Ozigbo of the People's Democratic Party, who polled 53,807 votes, and Andy Uba of the All Progressives Congress, who got 43,285 votes.
For that Charles Chukuma Soludo of APGA, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
That is the announcement that finally puts a closure to the Anambra State governorship election. This is one election that has been stretched beyond the regular election. First elections were extended on the actual day by hours in some places and to the next day in some other places. In spite of that, election did not hold in Ihiala local government area, forcing the Independent National Electoral Commission to announce a supplementary poll for Ihiala local government on Tuesday, November 9th. At the end of the day, it's not just the victor that's glad the election is finally over.
We thank First of all, those who voted for us, the people of Anambra State. Then we thank the Independent National Electoral Commission and the security agencies. This election is the best election ever conducted in Anambra State. And we hope that subsequent elections will be like this or better than this.
We will go back to our table. Our campaign will meet. And the party will also meet and decide what to do next.
Notably, however, is the refusal of the APC agents to sign the results sheet, and the parties have different reactions to this.
APC has refused to sign the result again, despite the fact that they did not win even one local government in the entire state. They did not win one local government in the entire state. So let them allow our democracy to blossom.
That there were so many local governments like Anambra West, Anambra East, Idemili North and Idemili South that were not really completed. We have a lot of questions, but we have to sit down and look at it and see what makes sense.
The electoral body and security agencies must be giving themselves a pat on the back for successfully conducting the 2021 governorship election in Anambra State against all odds. It's not exactly clear, however, if all the parties in the contest share in that sense of fulfillment.
And for the governor-elect, Professor Chukuma Soludo, he's extended a hand of fellowship to his fellow contestants in the election, insisting, with everyone's support, Anambra State will indeed go places. These were his immediate reactions shortly after he was declared winner. The former CBN boss witnessed the moment with some of his friends and family members at his country home in Isofia local government area of the state.
It's a waiting game here, with all eyes glued to the TV screen, in the living room of Professor Charles Soludo, in his country home in Isofia community, Aguata local government area of Anambra State. Just as he is seated calmly, in anticipation of the declaration of him as winner of the governorship election by INEC, friends, families and well-wishers are also present to witness this all-important moment in the history of the Soludo family. Upon declaration as winner of the election, having scored the highest votes cast, jubilation erupted in the living room as the governor-elect, friends, family and well-wishers began dancing and singing. Shortly after, he delivers his acceptance speech.
Let me say, with utmost humility and gratitude to God, I accept the results of the 2021 Anambra governorship election as declared by INEC. And this reflects the supreme will of the Almighty God and an overwhelming sacred mandate of the people. For 12 years since the massive clamor by the people of Anambra for us to serve them, we persevered to this divine moment. This is a divine journey whose time has come. To God be all the glory and adoration.
On the use of BVAs and improvement in deployment and security, he says Nigeria is on course to a robust and exemplary electoral system.
With a continuous refinement of the technology, upscaling of the skills of its operators, collaboration with telecommunication companies, improvement in logistical deployment and security, and stringent punishment for anyone involved in electoral malpractice, Nigeria will be on course to a robust and exemplary electoral system. I hereby extend my hand of fellowship to all of you. I need all of you to succeed. Politics aside, we're all brothers. Let's come together for the Project Anambra.
He also promises to create a conducive and prosperous Anambra State.
As we transit to a post-oil world and into the fourth industrial revolution, let us work together to build upon the foundations of our founding fathers and predecessors to create that livable and prosperous homeland that is the industrial technology and leisure hub of West Africa. This is our manifest destiny, and collectively we shall get there.
Upon swearing in on March the 17th, 2022, Professor Charles Soludo will become the 8th democratically elected governor of Anambra State.
In part two, after the break, both President Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Willie Obiano congratulate Anambra State Governor-elect Professor Chukuma Soludo. Who is this man and who's been elected governor of Anambra State? We'll have more after the break. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Federal government approves National Development Plan 2021 to 2025, just as Senate okays President Buhari's external borrowing plan. INEC declares former CBN Governor Professor Chukuma Soludo winner of Anambra governorship election. Abuja High Court adjourns trial of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu to January next year as his lawyers complain about access to the courtroom. And China and the United States pledged to work together on climate action, recognizing the urgency of the crisis. The president has congratulated Professor Chukuma Soludo over his election victory. In a statement today, President Muhammadu Buhari praises security agencies for their determination to ensure that the election went on smoothly, and the Independent National Electoral Commission for the successful conclusion of the exercise, despite the initial challenges encountered. The president enjoins Professor Soludo, who is a member of the Presidential Economic Advisory Committee, to rally other stakeholders to tackle the enormous challenges confronting the state and the Southeast in general. The president also indicated that he is looking forward to working with the incoming governor for the peace, security, and development of not only Anambra State, but the entire country. Meanwhile, the Anambra State Governor, Willie Obiano, has also been reacting to the emergence of Soludo as governor-elect. Governor Obiano, who addressed journalists in his country home in Aguleri, dedicated the victory of the people to the people of Anambra, who, according to him, have consistently taken a decision to be on the side of progress. He commended especially the women of Ebenebe, whom he said rejected the sale of their conscience for 5,000 naira allegedly offered them.
The outcome of this gubernatorial election presents hope and a new beginning for our dear state. For the second time in the last 4 years, Anambra boldly chose to stand on the side of positive history. People who thought that 21/21 was a fluke have seen history repeat itself in a most memorable way. 19/21 is a massive repeat of history. The difference is just 2. And so against intimidating odds, we stood tall and reclaimed the dignity of our people. In the Anambra, we proved to be the true sons and daughters of our fathers and mothers and lived out the full meaning of our motto, the light of the nation. Fellow citizens, this sweet victory belongs to you. It belongs to that courageous woman in Ebenebe who turned down the 5,000 bribe for her vote because she knew that though money could buy her temporary relief, but Anambra would be a better place if she voted according to her conscience. It belongs to our loyal party men and women who resisted temptations on the financial inducements from rival parties to fight under the banner of APGA because they knew that victory for APGA is victory for ordinary citizens of our dear state.
Staying with reactions to the governorship election in Anambra State, one of Soludo's rivals in the election, Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, has reached out to the winner of the contest. Senator Ubah, who contested the seat on the platform of the Young Progressives Party, expressed sadness over the outcome of the poll, but accepted the results as announced by INEC. In a statement, Senator Ubah urged the incoming governor to conduct local government elections and grant full financial autonomy to the LGA ways. He also appealed to him to always engage Anambra people in the diaspora as critical stakeholders, while he urged other contestants in the election to accept the outcome. And from heading the apex bank in the country to now gearing up to leading a state, Professor Chukuma Soludo can be said to have mixed well the academic and political worlds. But how easy was it? In this next report, our correspondent, Oluwa Shonibare, looks at Professor Soludo's journey to victory.
My argument is that no state can develop sustainably if the global governance, if overall governance and the economy are in crisis.
The subject of economics is one Professor Chukuma Soludo is well versed in. His impressive resume from various appointments earned him a position in 2003 as Chief Economic Advisor to former President Obasanjo and Chief Executive of the National Planning Commission of Nigeria, then as Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria in 2004, a responsibility he took on for 5 years. It is unclear when Chukuma Soludo's interest in politics began, but in 2009, he announced his aspiration for the seat of the governor of Anambra State and contested under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. A move which was widely contested by PDP members. He eventually lost to Peter Obi, who was with the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA at the time, in the February 10 election of 2010.
I believe it is now time to come home and serve my people.
In February 2021, Mr. Soludo declared his intention to run for the office of governor under APGA. He faced another challenge of acceptance in July as INEC excluded his name from the list of candidates. However, after several court sessions, it was reinstated. Chukuma Soludo never doubted his ability to perform if elected as governor.
What I intend to do under my manifesto is to consolidate on the existing security architecture by way of seeing this two-way interface between the local security forces, these federal security forces, providing the equipment and technology and training, agitation. I have a two-pronged approach to agitation. The first approach of it is obviously prosperity. Prosperity and livability of our homeland.
Emerging as governor at the November 6 election for Chukuma Soludo is one feat that supports the saying about persistence paying off in the end. Hopefully, the promises made to the people will be delivered as he takes office, especially with the burning concerns of security and containment of separatist ideology, which many see as going out of control. Oluwa Shonibare, Channels Television News.
Let's toss it over now to Terry Kumi in Abuja for more on the news at 10. Hi, Terry.
Hello, Amarachi. Let's go to the courts now. The trial of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, at the Federal High Court in Abuja has been adjourned to January 19, 2022. This came as lawyers to Kanu protested alleged refusal by DSS to allow them access into the courtroom, where the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, was to hear the application challenging the jurisdiction of the court and the competency of the charge. In a short ruling, Justice Nyako declined to dismiss the pending application as demanded by Kanu's lawyers and adjourned the case till January.
Chants of solidarity song rent the air as pro- and anti-IPOP protesters gather outside the Federal High Court premises. Heavy security is now a normal sight at the trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, who is facing a 7-count charge bordering on treason, felony, and alleged involvement in acts of terrorism before a federal high court in Abuja. Cameras were not allowed into the courtroom as security operatives screen out several journalists and lawyers. At the commencement of the day's proceedings, the defense team, led by Ifeanyi Ejiofor, were not present in court, prompting the presiding judge, Justice Binta Nyako, to ask Mr. Kanu of his whereabouts. Mr. Kanu informs the court that his lawyers are protesting the denial of access to his American lawyer, who is in court to witness the trial. As a result, the prosecution counsel, Mr. Mohammed Abubakar, asks the court to dismiss all pending applications that were filed by Mr. Kanu's legal team. Although displeased at the turn of events, Justice Nyako refuses to dismiss the pending applications.
We have lawyers who managed to come up. They were not allowed access to the court. So they are not much in their numbers. The court will have access. Let's seek clarification from us before proceeding. But I'm not surprised. We are still outside. When we are told that the court was about to sit, we are trying to get inside. They lock us out.
This is a lock us out.
They lock us out. I was insisting, shouting that you should open the door. They lock us out. So we didn't have access to court, only for us to be told that the matter has been mentioned and adjourned to 19th and 2nd of January 2022. Recall that we have an application before this court, challenging the competence of the charge. 1, 2, challenging the use of the court to proceed with it, because what we have before the court is just an empty paper.
Mr. Kanu's American lawyer also vows to take up the matter at the International Criminal Court of Justice at The Hague.
And there's one thing that I have already decided is Nnamdi's international lawyer. We don't need any strategy. I'm going to the working group on arbitrary detention in Geneva, go to the International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice in The Hague, the U.S. Congress, to bring to light the travesty of justice that is occurring.
The matter is then adjourned to January the 19th, 2022 for continuation of the trial.
When the news at 10 returns, the House of Representatives Committee on Customs is asking the Nigeria Customs to suspend banks owing customs duty. Plus news on business, where the Nigerian stock market records mild midweek drop of 0.05%. Join us again. Is asking the Nigeria Customs to suspend banks owing the service from further collection of duties until their debts are cleared. According to the committee, so far from its investigation, 5 banks collectively owe the service about 10 billion naira of customs duty collected. Chairman of the committee, Leke Abejide, states that the agreement has been reached with the Customs Service to ensure the implementation of this decision. To other stories, the family of late Karen Hapuch, a teenage boarding student of Premier Academy, Lugbe, Abuja, continue their quest to seek justice for the death of their daughter. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, the mother of the late teenager, Mrs. Vivian Akpagi, says investigations have now been taken over by the gender unit of the force headquarters after the family filed a petition against the FCT command. Karen Hapuch died on June 22nd of sepsis infections owing to an alleged rape, which the police have been investigating in the past 4 months. Well, that's all from the nation's capital. Back to Lagos with Amarachi Ubani.
Thanks a lot, Terry. And here it's been 9 days after the 3 towers, one of the 3 towers located at Gerrard Road in Ikoyi collapsed, killing nearly 50 people and leaving many injured. Evacuation of the rubble is still ongoing, and responders say that the instruction from the state government is to ensure that all dangerous materials are removed to allow for proper ground tests to ascertain the quality of materials and work done in the construction of the towers. Meanwhile, the heavy presence of security personnel that was seen at the site some days ago seems to have disappeared, as only traffic wardens, LASMA and Lagos Rescue Unit officials could be seen directing and controlling traffic. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, is urging public and private sectors to collaborate in a more orderly investment climate where government regulations and incentives are clearly worked out to aid the opportunities that abound in the area of impact investing. Professor Osinbajo made the submission at the 4th annual convening of Impact Investing, which held in Lagos.
To make it easier for more players to come.
It's a cross-breed gathering of impact investors, social entrepreneurs, and the patrons of the convener, midwifing the conversation on impact investing.
This conversation has helped us to have
meaningful engagement with government, they now see the opportunities that impact investment can actually channel meaningful resources towards priority sectors.
The guest of honor, whose virtual keynote address heralds the takeoff of deliberations, agrees that the fundamental question about impact investing is how to balance the profit-making module with the moral compass in the impact investment drive. But how well has government played its part in ensuring this balance?
In response to the severe economic fallouts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the program was designed to provide 5 million homes with electricity through solar home systems and mini-grids.
And to drive the conversation, panelists comprising mainly impact investors shared experiences on, among other things, connecting entrepreneurs with investors and moving goods across the value chain.
Outside of Kaduna and even in some parts of Kaduna town, there is no cell phone network by intention because the government is conducting security operations. And this is my plea to the government is like, please, 3-point agenda, telecoms, roads, and power, and then let the private sector do the rest.
How satisfied is the IIF board and impact investors with government's acclaimed intervention in the area of impact investing?
Have we made progress? And if you talk about ease of doing business, Nigeria has moved up about 30 or almost 40 ranks, which means that there's been a deliberate effort to improve the investment environment.
Security first, because agriculture is rural, and if there's no security in rural areas, then how do you actually do agriculture? And then the other is the cost of transportation.
Nigeria needs $600 million to bridge the Sustainable Development Goals gap required for economic development. Therefore, impact investing is germane to making up for this shortfall in financing.
That takes us to more business news. Here's Teniola Shobowale.
Thanks a lot, Amarachi. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's currency firmed up significantly today at the investors and exporters window of the forex market as it rose by 1.03% to 411 naira 37 kobo against the dollar. This comes as the central bank made available an ample supply of dollars to meet the demand of legitimate customers across the forex market. Traders and analysts also credit the rally on the local currency to the gradual adoption of the digital currency, the e-naira, which has reduced Nigerians' appetite for buying dollars as they can now withdraw dollars at official rates anywhere in the world. And still talking about currencies, the world's largest cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, has risen to a new all-time high following reports that U.S. inflation has hit a 30-year high of 6.2% in October. The price of Bitcoin, which jumped above $68,789 in the afternoon, is currently nearing another first-time record high of $69,000. Meanwhile, the cryptocurrency market capitalization is also seeing a surge as altcoins rally alongside Bitcoin as its market capitalization climbed by 1.42% to currently standing at $2.96 trillion. About 12.14 billion naira is knocked off from the domestic stock market's value as the profit taken makes a mild impact on the benchmark index. Will Ibong has details of today's trading activities.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Oh well, investors are already cashing out after the two bullish sessions recorded on Monday and Tuesday. The benchmark performance index edged slightly lower by 0.05% as the market capitalization lost about 12 billion naira. And this is despite the 0.5% gain recorded by MTN Nigeria. Now, analyzing by sectors, key indexes were mostly in the red, with the banking index taking the biggest hit, down by almost 1%. The industrial index was not far behind. No thanks to large cap Lafarge, its share price took a tumble, skidding nearly 4% today. Now, switching over to the activity chart, volume of shares traded continued its downtrend from Monday. However, value of transactions jumped by more than 60% to close at 5.53 billion naira. Still switching things up, flour mills took the reins of leadership, topping today's trade, followed by Transcorp Hotel and FBN Holdings. Now, it's just the midweek trading figures. We'll keep tracking the market and hope we can start the countdown to when the NGX reaches the 45,000 mark. And that's the stock market report. And Willie Bung is back to you.
Thanks, Teniola. Still ahead of the news at 10, China and the U.S. pledged to work together on climate action, recognizing the urgency of the crisis. Plus, other international news from our London studio. Stay with us. Welcome back. China and the United States have pledged to work together on climate action, saying they recognize the urgency of the climate crisis. The announcement was made in a bilateral statement which says both sides will recall their firm commitment to work together to achieve the 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature goal set out in the Paris Agreement. It also calls for the stepped-up efforts to close the significant gap that remains to achieve the goal. Simon Pusey has more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Poland's defence minister says the country has faced many attempts to breach the border with Belarus overnight, but now has 15,000 troops to help repel the migrants. At least 2,000 migrants have become stranded at the border of the centre of an escalating international row. Poland's defence ministry has tweeted this video, alleging that a Belarusian soldier fired a shot to intimidate the migrants. For months, the EU and now NATO and the US have accused Belarus's leader, Alexander Lukashenko, of provoking a renewed refugee crisis in Europe. Russia and Belarus say the EU is refusing to discuss the crisis with them. Lithuania's Prime Minister has visited a border guard headquarters as migrants continue to attempt crossing the country's frontier with Belarus. Ingrida Simoniete said within the last 24 hours there had been 281 attempts to get into Lithuania illegally. Lithuania has also imposed a state of emergency at the border. Countries are being urged to strengthen their carbon-cutting targets by the end of 2022 in a draft agreement published at the COP26 Glasgow Climate Summit. Speaker of the House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi made today's keynote speech, saying America was back when it comes to climate change and cutting emissions. Meanwhile, protesters dressed as guards from the series Squid Game in a demonstration to demand that Samsung Electronics make a transition to 100% renewable energy. Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai has married in the UK. The 24-year-old and her new husband, Asa, celebrated their wedding in Birmingham with their families. Malala has been a high-profile campaigner and advocate for women's rights. She survived being shot by a Taliban gunman when she was just 15 years old. Australia's town of Alice Springs has been hit by a record spring rainfall, causing the Todd River to swell and burst its banks. More than 100 millimetres of water have been recorded overnight. Videos show water almost reaching the level of a sidewalk. Some trees have also been partially submerged by the high levels of water. Snowstorms have wreaked havoc in northeast China, with record snowfall in some parts disturbing traffic, train services and power supplies. Traffic in Liaoning province has been severely disrupted, with the majority of expressway toll stations shut. Since the arrival of a cold wave on Sunday, temperatures in northeastern China have plunged by as much as 14 degrees Celsius. Meteorological departments have issued red alerts for snowstorms. The New Zealand Prime Minister has experienced the dangers of working from home firsthand when her young daughter interrupted her while she was doing a Facebook Live.
But you'll see that greater certainty for business. You're meant to be in bed, darling.
Jacinda Ardern was talking about the country's COVID measures when her daughter walked in because she couldn't sleep.
I'll come and see you in a minute, okay? Sorry, everybody. Yeah, Nanny will take you down to bed. Thanks, Nana. Well, that was a bedtime fail, wasn't it?
Ardern became New Zealand's youngest Prime Minister, holding office while she was pregnant. A pair of diamond bracelets that once belonged to France's Queen Marie Antoinette have been sold for 7.46 million Swiss francs in an auction. The bracelets are composed of 3 strings of diamonds and a large barrette clasp for a total of 112 diamonds. According to the auction house Christie's, the hammer was initially priced at 6.2 million francs.
Years. And again, that is exceptionally rare to find, and especially jewels of such great quality. You know, if you hold these bracelets in your hand, the quality of the workmanship still today is superior to a lot of the things that we see made in the modern world.
And finally, Santa Claus has visited the Sea of Galilee in Israel to open the Christmas season in the Holy Land.
Merry Christmas from the Sea of Galilee!
Organised by Israel's tourism board, Father Christmas crossed the lake paddling a kayak, pulling gifts and Christmas trees for children in the region. The Sea of Galilee is, according to the Bible, where Jesus walked across water 2,000 years ago. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
And this just in, as search and rescue operations continue at the site of the collapsed 21-story building on Gerrard Road in Ikoyi, Lagos. 2 additional bodies were recovered at the scene. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government says, contrary to speculations, no directive has been given for the demolition of the 2 high-rise buildings standing at the site of the 21-story building collapsed. And the main news again, the Federal Executive Council today approved the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025, which has an investment target of 348.7 trillion naira. As came at the Senate, okayed the President's external borrowing plan. That's it on the news at 10 to 9. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.